So, before this ride, I broke it down properly because I knew that raw fitness alone wasn't going to allow me to survive a 140-kilometer ride with road bikes on a gravel bike. Let's get into it.
The biggest thing that kept me in this ride wasn't fitness. It was positioning. If you're far too back in a group like this, every surge hits you 10 times harder. The pace lifts at the front, and by the time it reaches you, it's a full sprint just to hold the wheel. So my goal the entire ride was simple. Stay in the top 5 to 10 wheels, not on the front, not hiding at the back, just enough that I wasn't constantly reacting. So it doesn't sound like much, but this alone probably saved me from getting dropped in the first half. Every time I drifted back, I could feel how much harder it got, so I made it an absolute priority to move up early, not just when I was already too late. Then you're done. The next thing was learning not to panic every time the pace surged. Early on, it's easy to think that you need to match every acceleration instantly, but that's exactly how you burn yourself out. Instead, I started letting a small gap open up, just slowly, and then closing it smoothly. Instead of sprinting every time someone kicked, I stayed back. Up the hills, I stayed back a little bit. Down the hills, I stayed back a little bit. It's just a bit of a mental battle because it feels like you're losing the group, but in reality, you're saving energy whilst everyone else is expending it. If I had tried to respond this way every single surge that happened on the ride, I probably wouldn't have made it to the halfway point. Dead set. Another big one, and this is where a lot of people get caught out, is ego. This wasn't the ride to prove how strong I was. It was about surviving. So I wasn't going to be taking big pulls. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was sitting in, holding wheels, and using the draft as much as possible. Because every unnecessary effort adds up over 140 kilometers. There was definitely moments where I could have rolled through and pushed the pace, but I knew if I'd started doing that, I'd pay for it later. So I stayed disciplined, and honestly, that probably made the difference towards the end, for sure. Fueling was another thing I didn't leave to chance. I made sure I was eating and drinking early, not when I felt like I needed it, because once you feel flat, you're already behind. And in a group ride like this, there's no slowing down to recover. So I kept it consistent, small amounts, regularly, just to keep everything ticking over. I literally had it on ChatGPT where I wrote every 15 minutes to sip my water bottle, and every half an hour I would have a quarter slice of my jam white bread sandwich. It's not exciting, but it's one of those things that quietly keeps you in the ride while other people start fading. The reason I'm using the jam in white bread and LCM bars in this ride is because I've never had gels before. And speaking to someone about that, they recommended eating whole foods that I'm used to and that I enjoy, and things that work really well on rides, such as those things that I've listed, the LCMs and the jam in white bread. And later on, when the pace lifted, I could still respond instead of just hanging on. Mentally, the biggest shift for me was not thinking about the full 140 kilometers, because if you do that, it just gets overwhelming, especially when the pace is already high. So I broke it down, section by section. Just focus on holding the wheel, just get through this stretch, just stay in position and stay positive. When it got hard, and it definitely did, I didn't panic. I just went back to the plan. In the past, this is exactly where I would have cracked, potentially, but having the structure kept me calm and controlled. I also am not the type of guy that wants to be at the back of the pack, letting the team down. So I'm hanging on, and I'll tell you that much. And leading into this event, I was prepping about a week out. I was asking AI what to do, when to eat, where to position, how to flow, where to preserve energy. Whilst riding on my phone, I called it the Bible, which is exactly when to eat as well. So every moment, every segment, what to eat. And it all came down to as well, where to put my food in my back 3 pockets. I had on my left side my LCM bar and one sandwich corded up in a Glad bag. Same on the right hand side as well, one in each. And then in the middle pocket, I had my lollies, my jelly babies, which are easy to consume as well. Quick hit of glucose. My camera in a snap lock bag. And I had a banana. That's what kept me in the group all the way to the end. Except for the part where I dropped my camera on the road and I had to ride it back for 8 kilometers with my boy Sam, who towed me there, and then ran a half marathon afterwards. Crazy. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is the bike. I did all of this on a gravel setup in a full road group, which meant I was already at a disadvantage. More rolling resistance, less speed on the flats, and every surge just that little bit harder to hold. So this strategy, it wasn't optional. It was the only way I was staying in that group. If I didn't ride smart, I was getting dropped. Simple as that.
It wasn't the fastest setup, but with the right decisions, it was good enough. And ultimately, that's what kept me in the group. So we'll catch you on the next video. Peace out.